Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome,
If
everyone.
I had just one wish, it would be better countdown music. That's all I ask for.
Yeah. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Just eventually.
We got to change the music that we use for FlutterCon for the video that we had.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that.
Anyway, hey everybody, welcome.
Yeah, not your normal faces today. I guess we'll just briefly go around and sort that out. And my name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter community leader, CTO at Dev Angels London. You can follow me at Dev Angels London on Twitter and other social medias. Randall is not with us today. Neither can Danielle be with us today. Both are important secret duties to save the world in ways of Flutter. But we have John. John, welcome.
Yeah, I heard Randall's out trying to end daylight savings time so that we don't have these time zone issues that we have.
So true.
So I'm John Wheezy. I'm architect for Microsoft and the AI group, and on my spare time, I do a bunch of Flutter stuff, including managing the Flutter community medium, and answering questions all over the place, like Randall does.
We have Katie with us. Katie, do you want to?
Hello, I'm Kaylee, CEO at Checks on Me, and also today I'm wearing my shirt I got from Chris Sells, the very famous Chris Sells, Queen of JS.
Oh, it's awesome.
That's me.
That is awesome.
More importantly, I'm a Flutterista, representing the Flutteristas today since Danielle can't be here. So if you are a woman, non-binary Flutter enthusiast, hit us up.
I try to find the link, but I can't find it. So it's Flutterista. Oh, there it is. There we are. I found it. Flutterista. There you go. We need to go. I guess we'll just quickly do the do's and don'ts. I guess John.
We got to have Matthew introduce himself first.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
it's all right. It's all right. I'm
Matthew.
Just here, guys. They found me on the street and were like, "You want to come on a show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, sure." You got some Baja Blast. No, my name is Matthew. I am a senior Flutter mobile developer for a bank that I can't name, but my big thing that I love is my YouTube channel. So check me out at Maker Eater on YouTube, and I build weird, silly stuff out of Flutter, and I'm super excited about the next project, but I don't want to spoil it yet. But the parts have started arriving, and I already have $500 wrapped up in this thing, and I've barely begun. So this is going to be a cray build, but I'm building it with the next FlutterCon in mind. So that's me.
And I do see to this week you're a Taco Bell enthusiast.
I am a Taco Bell enthusiast. Yes, it is the greatest of the fast food chains. And if you disagree with me, I will fight you on that. Taco Bell is number one.
Have you seen or been to any of the Taco Bells that serve alcohol, and have you seen how they pour their beer?
I have not, but there's Taco Bells that serve alcohol.
In New York City, there's a couple of them, and I went to one when they first opened. This was years ago, like pre-COVID, years ago, and had no idea that they were going to pour beer in this way. And I was just like jaw dropped to the ground. Pour it
point?
The bottom through a pog. Yeah,
I did the app for that company.
Really? Oh my gosh, amazing! Yeah,
the company's called Bottoms Up Beer, and they introduced this idea where the glass has a magnetic seal in the bottom, so you can fill the beer glasses or plastic cups from the bottom, and then once you lift it off the machine, it magnet closes the hole, and you can have your drink.
So I have seen this, but believe it or not at Taco Bell. They have it at Disney World in the Star Wars land. They've got but here's my question: do they do mixed drinks at the Taco Bell? Because I want a Baja Blast and vodka. That's literally all I want out of life is Baja Blast and vodka. I feel like that would be the world's best drink.
So we're talking at least probably 10, maybe more years ago. So it may not be the same since then. I know they're still there, and I know they still serve some kind of alcohol. If my memory is serving me correctly, there was a very, very limited. I think you could get like a margarita, maybe, but it wasn't like a full bar, and everything was pre-mixed. But it's something.
You know what?
A long time.
I would take a Baja Blasterita. That would be like, I would take that. I would take a
Baja. Obsessed with Baja Blast.
Yeah.
Yes. Baja Blast and nacho fries. I could live off of Baja Blast and nacho fries. That's.
Okay, so we'll just quickly do the do's and don'ts. And again, to anyone else who doesn't know, get your questions in with the queue in front, and then we'll get to them in the chat. I guess, John, can you jump on this briefly?
Yeah, so do's and don'ts. So be nice, respectful, and constructive in the YouTube comments and on other socials. We are watching. We have the ability to have you banned in different places across the different Flutter universe. So, be nice. Don't post things that are adult, rude, or offensive. Use common sense. Do not advertise or promote if you're not on screen. Then you can't be advertising or promoting things. If you want to be on screen, let us know. Don't spam. So key thing there with the questions, post your question with the Q in front of it. Don't repost the same question over and over again. Once we see it, we tag it and it gets added to our list. If you post it again, we'll take you off the list and put you at the bottom. So it's not that we aren't answering your question. We'll get to it. We did see it. Just make sure it's got the Q colon in front of it, and it'll be put in our list. No harassment, none at all. It's not tolerated. We will have you blocked from everywhere if we see any harassment. And have a good time. So that's what we're here to do. Answer questions. Have a good time.
Have a good time, indeed. We so far we haven't had to force the hand of anyone for that kind of stuff. I will say that if you try and post a link, you won't get your message at all. The entire message doesn't come through, not just the link. So if you want to share some code or something else, then you want to follow this very guide right in front of us. Basically, go to gist.new, pop something in, type description, name the file something.dart, normally main.dart, pop your code in and comment and whatever else, and then post the hash. That's from step 6 here from the URL after you press publish, and we can then look it up based on that hash. So that's just a nice way about sharing code around. Also, if you don't know that, you can actually take that hash and pop it onto Dartpad's URL and actually share your code around, and people can just run it straight away in Dartpad, which is also very helpful.
Yep. Nice.
Alrighty then, back to our regular program.
I just want to say Dartpad is so underrated. Like when many years ago, when I was actually learning Dart, it was so useful to be able to like test and figure out and debug. I don't have any follow up to that. Just I love Dartpad. I think
it was a really good example. I think maybe one of the reasons why I made it quite helpful, and that is that you could post and people do still do this. I think maybe less now, but when you post like an issue with an example on like Flutter on the Flutter repo, you can actually post your Dartpad thing. You can just run it then, and you can see the issue, which is kind of helpful as well. So.
I find it especially useful for interviews. I know with other frameworks that I've interviewed for, there's so much complicated setup and boilerplate that the interviewer has to provide for. It's just a nightmare. But with Flutter, you can just do a Dart pad and have at it.
I just thought I know it's not in Flutter Web, but if it was in Flutter Web, then you couldn't use the automate. So you know those tools where people are using AI to like help answer questions and stuff.
Yes.
I kind of feel that maybe then you might be able to get away from that because it'd just be an image. So then that way they couldn't like do the reading the contents of the DOM and try and like help you answer questions and weird things like that. So it's always a cat and mouse game because you know what they'll do next is they'll just take screenshots and then put it through an OCR and just like.
Here's the thing, though, for the sheer amount of effort that people go through to like not learn something, I look at it and I'm like, you could just learn it. For the sheer amount of effort that you go through to try and fake this, you could just learn it. Like, why is this so hard?
I think there's also a certain degree of like, what's the word? I think like there's the difference between like configuring something and like using tools that exist versus actually trying to make it yourself, right? Like I'd be really impressed if someone made something to do that and like showed us during the interview what they made. Like that would be like, okay, you got the job, right? Versus, you know, if they just like plug something together, I'm like, well, you know, you didn't make anything, right? So, so we'll see if we can do some live coding if people want as well. So if we don't have that many questions, we'll just do some live coding.
We don't have any questions yet. I would love to ask my question.
Go for it. Like,
So, story behind this shirt from the lovely Chris Sells is he asked me if it was possible to make a VS Code extension using Flutter. And since building extensions with Flutter on the web is kind of my specialty, I was like, challenge accepted. And I did it. I was able to make a VS Code extension using Flutter. That part wasn't that hard. What his second ask, and a project we've been kind of working on together, is making a package that can auto-generate the code needed so other people can easily make VS Code extensions without having to learn all the weird, intricate weirdo-ness that you need to do it. I got most of it to work-ish. The part that I'm really struggling with is getting Flutter code to generate JavaScript code, and more specifically into the service worker, and just kind of like straight up using build and build runner is just not really working. And I'm thinking I probably have to use plugin, like the Flutter web plugin, something like that to, I don't know. I'm kind of at a stumped point. So I just wanted some thoughts, maybe directions, ideas.
My camera went on the frets and I kind of missed half the question.
I don't know. So my package that I made generates all the boilerplate code, essentially. Yeah. But if you want to, say assign a function, you want to code in so that it shows a message on the bottom or it shows something, you need to have the Flutter code be able to communicate with the runtime of VS Code, which is in JavaScript. And if that's fine, that can all happen with messaging. But if you want to build a package that builds all the JavaScript code for the user, creating a builder that writes all this JavaScript has proven to be like the red line that we can't really cross. It's a service worker that it's got to build, basically. And I don't know.
What is difficult about generating the code? Sorry.
It's not that that's difficult about generating the code. It's difficult figuring out how to give a framework that a user can write in Flutter that the package can transpile, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, you're actually trying to transpile. So, okay, sorry. So now,
yeah, Dart to JS would be a piece of it. A plugin would likely be a piece of it, and build runner would likely be a piece of it.
So what you're actually trying to do is get people writing. So they write their VS Code plugin in Dart to an interface, and then that can then be run inside of VS Code, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, like since it's only running JavaScript, you need to have Dart. You Dart to JS, so it compiles into JavaScript. Dart to JS will compile against a JavaScript interfaces, so you can develop an interface, an API for plugins written in Dart to use, right? And that can effectively wrap or expose the VS Code interface to that Dart to Dart. I think the problem here is more about tooling, right? So it's more about the fact that you need to be able to like debug it, work with it, make changes, and that's the bit that's difficult. I think, and the question is like, what is the value in doing that, right? Like, is there a value proposition here that makes sense? So as you said, like, yeah, you got, or you do Flutter Web and show a web view, and then everything's done in Flutter Web, and it stays in the Dart side of things. You get hot reload for free, you get development debugging for free, you get a bunch of other stuff for free, effectively, right?
Yeah. So it is built around the web view. So that is the primary interface that the user would be interacting with. But in order to access some of the functionality of VS Code outside of the web view, you need to have these service workers, and you need to have these things going on.
So you could. Sorry, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if they allow VS Code necessarily allow this, or if it's so JavaScript allows evaluation, right? So you could actually make a generic functionality inside the service worker, which is like run JavaScript, and it evaluates it. So that way you could actually have the Dart side send the JavaScript over.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, I didn't think that.
Yeah.
The evaluate is not always open for use.
Yeah, you can't do that. Same with browser extensions. You can't do that. Yeah, so this has been a conversation that Chris and I have had, and my kind of thought is that writing the JavaScript part isn't all that difficult. You're plugging in some pretty simple functionality into the service worker, and with a lot of Flutter libraries that we use,
this service worker. Sorry, this service worker, is that running inside of the web browser or inside of VS Code itself?
It runs inside VS Code, and that is so VS Code basically is running as a web browser itself. The whole runtime of VS Code is JavaScript. So if you have a web view, it's in its own runtime, and then you've got the VS Code runtime. So if you're using your VS Code, your web view, it can send messages back and forth between the VS Code runtime in JavaScript and your web view. And so communicating with the service worker, that's the VS Code runtime, is telling it what to do there, if that makes sense.
I honestly, it sounds to me like treat it more like we already do with native code, and the way that native plugins work.
Yeah.
Use something like platform channels. Use something which is already like clearly defined, and you could have the code generated. You could look at things like looking at Pigeon or something and saying, okay, can I add like an output target for Pigeon that outputs for VS Code plugin, right?
Yeah.
And then you're taking advantage of all the existing generation of code. You're taking advantage of all the existing interface and the way it works and everything else. You don't have to code any of that stuff. So that's kind of probably what I would go. And then, because it is just the same thing, right? Like you can bolt on whatever you want to that, right? And then that way, yeah, effectively, you still have to write that native JavaScript code, but you've got an interface to work towards, and all the interaction, the way it works between the two is handled for you.
Yeah.
But then that way, yeah, you're right. Like you'd have to like maybe start to like change, if you change that functionality in that's running inside the service worker in VS Code. I think there's also a clear point here that this interaction you're talking about, how it works, needs to be clearly described and documented. so that anyone that's developing a plugin can understand how the system works and how they're interacting with the system, and when they do something, what actually happens. And that can also help sort of ease the pain of like maybe developing something like this.
Yeah.
Plugin development is never an easy thing because you're working inside a different environment, and even like even for iOS or Android. So
yeah, my kind of thought was, having to not do any JavaScript at all is kind of impossible. Like there's going to have to be a little bit, and we have been able to generate the boilerplate for all of the JavaScript pretty easily. I mean,
you can do the Dart.js, but I don't know what the runtime should load up fine. The Dart runtime.
Yeah. Oh no, it does. It loads up just fine. It works just fine. It's just that if I want to change something, I have to change it in JavaScript, and that's something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. You cannot do Dart.js, so you're changing it in Dart code, but the output's JavaScript.
I would be curious. I haven't tried this recently, but there has been issues in the past with doing Dart to JS for service workers, just because they are functionally very different. I think that's where the Flutter web plugin comes in, can help with that. And a little bit of my cursory research on that was basically, that's kind of where I think it's going. And I wanted to bring it up and mention it in this forum to see if I was going down the complete.
I did. Oh, it was a long time ago, so I don't know how Dart.js changed, but I did a runtime. I did a runtime wrapper around Dart.js that allow you to run Firebase functions with Dart code.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like basically doing a Node.js interop kind of piece, so that if I remember right, I did some funky thing where I wrapped the output of .js in a JavaScript function, so that the output would be written into its own object definition, so that way you could actually access the properties of everything inside your .js code through an object rather than having it sort of a global space.
Yeah.
There's some requirements around what interacts with Node.js that you have to kind of fake. Some interrupt stuff around that. So it might be worth looking at those things still exist. I'm not sure how up to date they are. They're online. So it might be worth looking at what people did around running Dart code in Node.js, basically, which is the way it was. Those cloud functions, right? Which were only could do Python, JavaScript, and something else.
Yeah, something to think about for sure. I don't know. It's a very weird problem, and there's nothing to Google on it.
Yeah, but these are the interesting ones.
Yeah,
those are the best ones. Although I will say, I haven't written a line of JavaScript in 6 years, and I couldn't be happier. It's like the Marie Kondo thing where you walk around your house and you're like, does this spark joy? And if the answer is no, then you just throw it out. I picked up JavaScript and said, does this spark joy? And the answer was no. And I threw it out, and I have been so happy ever since. God bless JavaScript developers. It's not that I can't do it, I just don't want to do it, So
I agree.
We're going back that way.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot, but as working with web and
you can't get around it.
The special fun functionalities and different things you have to. Building the extensions for the browser, it was the same problem. You really have to figure out what the line is of where you can draw code as much in Dart and as little in JavaScript as possible, but it's inevitable.
I mean, it's one thing to do in Dart, but I think it'd be pointless if you didn't get hot reload and some of the other things, and that just adds another layer, right? If you're building
hot reload with extensions is kind of a non-starter because they don't operate in the same way. It has to actually build the package for it, and it can't update it within its part of a security thing. So in browser extensions and VS Code, you can sort of hot reload and does the same thing. But so 2 FlutterCons ago, the first one in the US, I gave a presentation about writing browser extensions in Flutter, and Brett, his last name is escaping me, the guy who does all of
Danger Mouse on GitHub.
he does the cookbooks for the Flutter.
Brett Morgan.
Yes, yeah. Had a conversation with him about, making a cookbook, how to on a recipe, whatever you want to call it, on how to make a browser extension. And kind of one of those big hurdles was, how do we remove JavaScript from this equation? And creating the service worker was also the hurdle that we couldn't get over. And yeah, it's just at a certain point, it's not worth all the effort, and it's easier just to write the JavaScript.
Speaking of browser extensions, though, I have found, and this is not totally Flutter related, but as a developer, it's been extremely useful to me, so I'm going to share it. I have found the single most useful browser extension I've ever seen in my life. It's called Web Highlights, and it allows you to highlight and annotate any web page. So like, this is great when I'm like reading through like documentation and stuff, and I want to remember something, and like, I want to come back to it later, and I'm like, where was this on the page? I can literally highlight it and then like make notes to myself and then come back. I don't know how it works when the content of the web page changes. I don't know what's going to happen to my annotations at that point, but it has like changed my workflow and everything. It's changed my developer workflow when I'm reading through docs. It's changed how I look up, technical documentation, because a lot of data sheets are hosted online now. It's changed how I run my D&D game. I use it everywhere, so it's been super cool.
Interesting.
I love extensions. Before I was working in payments, I worked at a video company, kind of similar to Loom, and I made an extension that made screencasting recordings for people that wanted to do that. And learning those ins and outs were absolutely fascinating, and how you can manipulate the DOM from, as an outsider of that web page is pretty cool. Flutter tools generate their service worker from Dart. This is free. Maybe it can. That's a good note. I will add it to my list of things to read about. Thank you, Frey.
I had a moment where I broke one of my coworkers' minds, who's a web dev, and I had Flutter web running in a browser on a project. I don't remember what it was, and I showed him that there was no DOM, and he lost his mind. Like, he's like, what? Like, he's like going through the browser tools, and he's like, there's literally no DOM here. I'm like, yeah, no, there's no DOM.
Yeah, I would be really curious. I have not dove into trying to figure out a lot about using an extension on a Flutter web app. Some of the arguments people provide, like with accessibility and how the semantics work and all that stuff, is such a big piece of how an extension could potentially interact with a Flutter web project. But that would be, to just build an extension, that would be a whole extra giant component to build in to account for Flutter web, for sure.
Does anyone have any like coding ideas that we could do? Like, I don't know, things that we can try out? Because otherwise, we've got no questions. I mean, this is
But you have a list. We still have a list going, don't we? I
do. Yeah, I can go through some of those, and we can see what we can do. I'm just trying to think of that. Like, it feels like
I just want to say that we have reached a landmark today. Callie asked the last question anyone in the Flutter community has ever had. All questions have been answered. There are no questions left to answer. This show is done. We had a good run, guys. But
I get another queen status to add to my.
So Free asked a custom scroll weight indicating different sections, like a multi-section scroll view. I want to make it clear that in the scroll view, where the top level section starts, something similar to a contact list may be where you have the initial of the group is magnified. You've seen that, like maybe to this. So he said here, imagine having a H1, H2, etc., and then a scroll bar would have longer or shorter indicators next to it. Yeah, things like that. So I mean, we could definitely discuss that a bit more and see what we could maybe work on that. If anyone's got no questions, I mean, that sounds like a fun thing to try out.
Yeah. This is exciting for me. I typically have to cut out before the live coding begins, so I'm excited. It's like
we're still good on time. I mean, how long has everyone got? Like,
I can minutes more maybe.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Sorry, how many?
I got like 20 minutes left, and then
20 minutes.
Yeah.
How long you got, Matthew, left?
50.
50. All right, and John?
Yeah, probably about 10 or 15, maybe.
All right, so it's going to be John, Kaylin, and Matthew.
Yeah, I'll be the last one.
All right. So, okay, so let's do some screen sharing stuff and see where we get to. Let's see.
We have a suggestion in chat, and maybe we've done it in another live coding. We can try out Disco in the live coding section. I wouldn't mind playing around with that someday.
Yeah,
we don't have to do it for live coding,
out,
but
I
Disco
don't know if
looks
we'll do it
dope.
right now. But yeah, no, definitely want to look at that as an option. Let me just fiddle around with fonts for a second because I always have to change the size of everything so the stream can see it all. Oh,
one thing I'd like to explore while Simon's setting up, I would love to explore like what are the pros and cons of using Disco over something like Get It, for example. So
I thought you were about to say another one, and I was about to the one we don't talk about.
We're gonna have to like beep him out, you know.
The he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
So something unrelated to fill the time while Simon's getting set up. I use ServerPod a lot in my project, and ServerPod.
How do you like it?
I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. We'll continue to use. But they just launched their Discord, and they are getting ready to launch 3.0. And in launching 3.0, they're also going to be doing a hackathon. And yours truly may be a judge for that coming up. So look for announcements on ServerPod's channels.
That's it. Now I know what you need to make. You need to make a server pad where it's like a website where you can try out ServerPod. There you go.
Yeah. Oh.
Boom.
Oh. I actually like that.
Yeah.
No, I've done nothing with ServerPad, whatever. I've done nothing with it, and it looks so interesting. Like typically, so at work we've got a backend team, so I do very little with the backend. And on my side stuff, if I need a server for anything, I typically just reach for a Firebase function and a Firebase real-time database and just move on with my life. But I think that Dart on the server side is criminally underused, and I would love to dig into it more. So
yeah, it's a really interesting take on how to do it. Huge amounts of it is using YAMLs. So like if you want to create your database schema, you're basically making it in a YAML, not in Dart. And then any like interaction that you're going to do with your endpoints and utilities that you would make in Dart, and then their code generator just generates the crap out of everything for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what does it use? What does it use under the surface for a database? Is it SQLite? Is it agnostic? Can you use anything you want, or what is there?
It has to be Postgres. Has to be Postgres. Yes.
Has to be Postgres.
Okay. All SQL based. The cool thing that I didn't know going into it is when you generate your ServerPod project, it generates 3 Flutter projects as a mono repo. One is Flutter, or 3 Dart projects. One is Flutter, one is your backend, and one is a client, which is where all the code generation goes, and it kind of operates as an interface between your front end and back end. So you don't have to actually like call any HTTP or do anything from your Flutter part of your code because it's all pre-generated.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
instead of like using something like DO to call an endpoint, then I would literally just call this intermediary client that then calls. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
That's pretty great. I think there's definitely some, minor quibbles I have with some little things like using a YAML, which is also the enums are all built in the YAMLs, makes it more difficult to do true. So for an example, one of the APIs that I'm interacting with, their JSON, one of the properties comes back with an underscore and then whatever the property name is, and it can't have that. It's just like, no. So to get over that, I have to build so you can build your own interfaces and models and things separate from the way they do it if you need to build custom ones. So you can do it. It's not impossible, but it's a little bit extra work because of using YAMLs. So it's great.
Gotcha.
I honestly was a bit terrified starting this project because it had been many years since I'd worked in a lot of back-end stuff and never in Dart. And so I was nervous, and wow, has it like really come together pretty easily. Deploying to Google was also pretty easy. So I've got everything up on the cloud, and yeah, can't say enough good things. And also, I want to point out that Victor from ServerPod has been a great supporter of the Flutteristas, sponsoring our conferences every year. So shout out to him, and thanks for that too.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to dip my toes in the ServerPod now.
Yeah, I can think of a few apps that I've got where I might be able to take advantage of it.
For sure.
So
we do have a question.
We do.
Yeah, I go for it.
Yeah. You want me to? Yeah.
I'll load-
So
Go for it.
yeah. So how do we load 1,500 SVG icons all at once in a list view? There should not be even a thumbnail preview while scrolling. Can we achieve this?
We did this last week. So there's a way of preloading any sort of image.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Oh, we did it in the Wow Shopping app, and I posted a link in the last week. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Hang on.
Okay.
When a list, maybe I'm missing something from the question. Wouldn't a list view.builder just do this? Like it would
no. The point is that so remember, a list view is only going to display the widgets as you scroll, right?
Yeah.
So that all of the ones that are off screen load in as it scrolls, which is the problem that the person's having, right? So he wants to preload all of the images, so as you scroll, there's no loading.
Yeah. So that they're just there.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So generally speaking, this is something we put inside of the Wow Shopping app. I'll put a link to this in a minute. To pre-cache images. So basically, the point here is that when this app loads up, it creates a future for load app, and during that future, we display the splash screen whilst it's waiting to load. And then while that splash screen is loading, what happens is, where is it? It runs this function which like initializes the format, initializes the back end of the app, and it pre-caches the images that are needed for the screen. And one of those will be the homepage images and the bottom nav bar images. If we go into one of these, homepage, wait on, and there you go, SVG picture. So you can just do like a for A in list or whatever, in list and just, preload whatever it is, right? And away you go. So yeah, there you go. So in fact, I think we do it here. There you go. There you go. So for each of our category items, it has an asset attached to it, which is a SVG icon in the assets. And then this loops around all those assets and loads them all at the beginning when the app starts up. So I'll what is the best place to share? I guess this one here, pre-cache images on homepage. Let me find that. We haven't finished the WoW shopping yet, to be fair, and we totally should, and get like a little demo server operational. It's just, yeah, people seem to ask for other things. So, you know, if you find that you're interested in this more, then we could certainly look into it a bit more. Yeah, pre-cache images. I'll pop that link in the chat for anyone that wants it. Yeah, I'll put it right in the chat to the code. There you go. Okay, so where was I? Losing my mind. That's where I am. Right. So I figure let's describe what we're trying to achieve here. So we're talking about doing like a scrolly widget, and let's get a blank file for today. Pre, are you there? Do you want to like maybe describe, make sure we're understanding what we're talking about? If you think my description earlier was correct, let us know.
He's lurking in the comments, so maybe.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get right. Thank you, AI. I'm running on Windows. I don't want to run it on Windows. Stop.
I don't want to admit that my test coverage has improved dramatically since I started using AI, but my test coverage has improved dramatically since I started using AI. Like, I hate writing tests, so I would always write like the bare minimum to test what I needed to test, and now like I throw cursor on it, and like 5 minutes later, like I've got like 23 tests, and I'm like, holy crap.
We're certainly going to be clarifying that's what we want to do next. So, all right. So I've actually got a little tablet here, and I'm going to draw out some stuff. I'm going to see if this comes through because this is going to be interesting. So yeah. So you know, if you've got like you know, your contacts, right, going down a list, what you might have is like A, B, C, D on the right hand side. So they only appear when you scroll, and then the one that's currently you're on is like bolded or highlighted in some fashion, right? So you can imagine, here's the thing, right? We've got a long piece of content. You only have a portion of it visible at the moment, and at the moment, like B, and then the items for B are here, A, and the items for A, and then you got C, items for C. What's going to happen in this scenario, of course, is let me move this up.
Okay, he just put a note in there. Oh, okay. Yes, exactly. Never mind. He's like, I don't know if anyone has Notion. They have it. And I opened up my Notion account, but never mind. You're on the right track, Simon.
Yeah. So basically, so what's going to happen in this situation is you want to see A, B, and C on the left here. Sorry, on the right. So you know what's in the list, like the headings of the list, and then when you scroll, and then obviously you, in this case, you scroll up. So we scroll up on the list, then you kind of get into a situation where it's like, I'm just going to do it on the right here, on the left. So now you're on B, A is here, C is down here, and so now you've got your A, B, and C, and then B is the one that's kind of highlighted in some way to indicate this is the section that you're in. Does that kind of make sense? Is that what you're kind of like? If that is, then that's what we'll go for. So there's a couple of problems we got here, right? So here's the question, right? And there's tricks to solving all these problems, right? So we're going to go for a couple of examples around this. So firstly, you don't know. So first of all, we know like we can ahead of time compute that there's A, B, and C are going to be the sections of the list, right? We know what sections are going to be in the list, right? So that's fine. So we can pre-compute and pre-place those on the right-hand side. That's not the issue. The question is, how do we, if you needed to place them in relation to where they are in scrolling. So, for example, at the moment, place them equally on the right-hand side like this, like I've got, along here. That's easy because, we're just dividing the height by 3 in this case because there's A, B, and C. And then, place them centered on the right and, you've solved that problem. The problem here is, let's say A is a lot larger than B and C. Do we want to show that in some fashion? Normally scroll bars, and I don't know if anyone's noticed this, normally scroll bars that you see have a thumb in them. And that thumb, for those that don't actually follow this, the height of that thumb is based on the viewport height, and the actual scroll bar is the content height. So basically, this shows you what you're viewing out of the content. Literally is why a scroll bar is designed the way it is, with the thumb in the bar. So the idea is that when you move that down, you're moving your viewport over the content. Very similar to what you see over here on the right hand side, over here, right? Like you've got this view over the content. It's exactly what the thumb does, right? So the thumb here is actually in ratio of the height of the content. So if you wanted to make it ratio, if you wanted to make the view of all of this ratio aware, that's a whole different thing. Because you actually need to know the height of the content. So you have to pre-compute and know the height of the content. You can do some tricks for that, right? So there's some, you'll notice on some widgets in Flutter, there's a field called prototype, and that actually helps solve this. But equally, the idea being that the height of these items, they're in the height of these items, they're in the list over here. You fix the height of each of these items to being like a certain physical, 48 points or whatever. You can multiply it by your
I don't think that's what he's looking for. I opened up my Notion to see what he's talking about. I don't think he needs to do like a custom height thumb for this. I can. Just for general information.
Just in this area. But anyway, the way you solve that is by knowing, how many items start with A in this situation, right? Or how many are in this section. And by knowing how many in this section, you can then say, okay, it's 48 times whatever the height of the section is. So you can pre-compute how much space of the content this is taking up. And effectively, you do the same thing for B and C. And now you know exactly how big your content is going to be before it comes on screen. And then you can make it ratio aware that way, without having to actually do the full layout of all of the text and everything in your list. But that's only when you have a fixed height. When you don't have a fixed height content, i.e., like, imagine these were like social media posts or something else. That's like impossible then, because you just don't know how many comments or how big it's going to be, or it has got an image attachment. Like, you might as well just do the layout at that point. So there's a trade-off between like how much time you spend laying something out and how much you need to do up front. So anyway, okay. So let's say we're going ahead and trying to build this kind of custom widget. Where do we go to next, right? I think that's where we...
I gotta jump. I think John's gonna jump too. So before you...
Oh, John.
Right. Before you dig in, it was nice seeing everybody. See you next time.
Good seeing you guys. See you next week or whatever. Good seeing you guys.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Oh, they both had to go. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just you and me now, man. But it's all good. It's all good.
We'll stick it out. So John left me actually a message there. Hang on a second. Where are we? He said alphabetical scroll. Maybe what alphabetical scroll he said alphabetical scroll might be the package that already does something like this. So, I mean, sure. I mean, but I think the idea here is that we want to make one. So, based on Flutter sticky header, and we could certainly look at it.
That might be the move, right? Just open it up, see what they're doing.
Yeah, it's not. stacked alphabet side alphabet bar. So that's our widget on the side. I don't particularly want to I want to just do this the way that I want to do it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Items list view. So they've not gone with a normal list view. They've got to have a custom list view, which is fair. Scroll controller, alphabet list map, contact item height. So that's that fixed height I was telling you about. Item builder, header style text. Again, knowing that information up front means that you can pre-calculate things appropriately. Alphabet list screen. Interesting. So this looks like maybe a pre-configured screen. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do something ourselves, and then we can come back and see. There's a couple of different ways of doing this, and this actually is using sticky headers as well. So this actually, now I'm curious. Have a quick look. Okay, that's one way of doing that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, it's a bit small.
I'm not going to make fun of other people's code because I have done some profoundly interesting things.
Oh, no, we all have. I just, yeah, I'm not one for doing that, but you know, I suppose it's a finite set. So, okay, makes it element key on each one. Okay. So he's creating an overlay. So this is, so the looks of this, right? So we've got a gesture detector. When you drag start, he's updating the global position, taking the global position of the drag and using that as the alphabet offset value notifier, whatever that is. And when you let go, it does remove overlay. So an update, I'm guessing, does this update selected alphabet greater than -16 +16?
Let's just write our own. Like, I'm not a big fan of the magic numbers.
No, I'm not a fan of that either. At least, you know, if you're going to put that in there, put like
at least leave a comment. Yeah. Or like a descriptive const name or something.
Anyway, it goes through, maps them out. It has a gesture detector on each one, so you can tap on it and go to that letter. Sure.
I mean, to be fair, 16 is my favorite magic number out of all of them. So
any power to, I'm good with. Okay, so yeah, so that's interesting. Every time you update that offset notifier, he's got a anonymous listener, which adds the overlay. That kind of irks me slightly because, you know, something might hold on to this value slightly and then you don't remove the listener, which means this can always get triggered. This is not a good behavior to have. I'm not trying to do a code review here, but if you're going to add something, always remove it as well. That way you clean up after yourself. Otherwise, you get some weird behaviors. Trust me, I've been there. Okay, so then add basically just does if it's not already there, if I don't already have an overlay entry, make one. And again, like this is another example of where this builder, what actually can be happening here is this should be a widget. A lot of people put these things in line like this when actually you're better off making them into a widget of their own. So basically, the overlay moves. Anime container. Why is he using anime container? I want to feel like there's a reason for that, but I'm not seeing any reason what that actually does right now. But anyway, maybe I must be missing something. All the parameters are fixed, so it stays the same. Okay. again, width minus 48. Like, who says it's on the right hand side? Right, this is not of the screen. Like this feels a bit off as well. Anyway, all right, look, we're not here to comment on other people's code. Okay, so stack sidebars, a widget you can chuck in there, and then it displays a list, and when you drag over it, it produces a larger version of that text hovered over the top somewhere. That's from what I get there, and then the list view is probably hooked up to that in some way. So we've got a sticky header. So each time one of those headers comes up, so the thing is, it's more about scrolling to the entry. I think that's another impactful thing here. So this has got a controller. I don't know if there's actually anything in here that's doing that, to be honest. That's the interesting bit. Oh, I'm going off this very quickly. 31 is the best magic number.
I was looking at chat. Sorry, I've not intentionally been quiet. I've been responding to chat. I didn't realize that there was actually a package called is even.
Oh Christ, no. Do you know what's really interesting? I don't know actually. I don't know if you can do it in actually let's have a look. No, if you in a couple of languages, when you double bang something, you actually end up you can convert like a number to a boolean, which is anyway.
Oh, that seems useful actually.
Anyway, right, let's go. Let's go, team. Go, team, go. So what are we doing? I guess we want a list of information. I guess we'll just make some random data up. Let's do that. And then we'll have a list view to display that. All right. So let's do I guess we're just gonna like maybe we're gonna include the package that the person should have included. If it's not really in here, probably it is. Yeah, it probably is chart code. Okay, cool. So there's a package called chart code. What that does is it lists out all the character codes, and then you can like use them directly. So this one here's ASCII, and you can access all the character codes by these $ names basically. And this is one for ASCII. There's one for they've got some various different sets in here. Anyway, right. So in this case, what we can now do is do something like so we could generate what's this alphabet.
I love that AI suggestion. That was fantastic.
I mean, it's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
There you go. So from A to Z, generate a string from that chart code if you wanted to, right? That's now what we're going to do is say for final letter in alphabet, and then for each letter we'll include, say, 10 items. Item, letter, but this. So that's just some. To chop that up, some. And then we'll generate a list in our body that displays the data. Right, thank you. And there we go. 10 A's, 10 B's, C's, D, and E, and so on. Let's go on further because I want some visual indications here. We're going to make this a record, and thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to do. And now we can say tile color, sure. So
tight mismatch.
There we go. That doesn't come out as much as I wanted that to come out. Hang on. Because we're using, let's try primary. I think it's going to repeat over and over again because we're only going to get the first 10. Because our indexing is, that's probably what the problem is. We can do this. Don't follow what I'm doing. It's a pure hack. It works.
My brain is hurting right now, Simon, but I understand what you just did, but man, okay. It's pretty though. All right, cool.
Just so we get some indication. I mean, we could actually talk about this. We could do something instead where we've got, instead of having a color per item, have a color per section. Maybe that's actually helpful. Yeah, actually, that's what does that look like? Let's have a look and see what that is. We're spending way too much time on this, but
yes.
Yeah, I think that's more practical. But then what we'll do is we'll multiply it by 3, and so we get just some
more contrast. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just so we're skipping some, and we get a bit more contrast between the items. There we go. All right, that'll do. Okay, that's enough playing around with that. Right. Does an A give you the character? Yes, it does. Yeah. So you can see that 61 would be the hexadecimal version of the ASCII for 61, right? Which basically means that you get the advantage of not just having to use them as strings, you can use them as child codes, and then you can take it, you can pass a string, and the child code package is really helpful for that kind of stuff. It has HTML entity names as well, which is really helpful. So this is the characters based on their names, right? So when you've got the HTML entity name, it actually gives you the actual character for it, right?
Now that is useful. I could have used that a few years ago on a project I was working on. That's super cool, actually.
And then the Charco one gives you all of it, but minusing the ones that overlap. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So now we're here. Let's get rid of that. Don't need a title bar. In fact, we don't need scaffold. We'll put material. Right, where are we? Cool. So okay, so we've got some data. We're showing it. So we want to take our list view, overlap it with. So we did this before. I mean, similar to this before. It's called an annotated region. I think that's probably the thing that I would like to see the most on here. So first of all, let's get our primitive alphabet listing. We can then hook that up to a scroll controller and have that scroll controller being used by normal list view. So the whole idea I go with this is that I don't want to have custom widgets everywhere. I want to wrap the existing widgets and propose the same behavior, but that way you can switch out your list view for whatever scrolling content you want, and it'll just work, right? The theory is that's the theory at least. Whether or not we have that is another thing. So right now we want we can have our alphabet scroll list item. And again, it's this notion that this is the when you're doing Flutter, it's composition over inheritance, right? We don't want to, like, if we want to wrap something, we're wrapping any widget, right? We don't care what that is, right? And then we want this to report back its char code. Oops. We could call it like alphabet code or something. I mean,
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
And then this is just going to be, for the moment, this is just going to be the widget. So this is giving us an ability to put whatever widget we want in our scroll view, and have the ability to, in effect, wrap any item and then add our own behaviors to each list item, basically. So at the moment, we like going to and fro of char codes here. So we can tidy that up slightly by just saying call this char code, and then it says string from char code. We'll say alphabet is just the char codes. Make these int, and then we'll output. Oops. Yeah, that's annoying. I will do it twice. I'll do it twice. Index. That's not what I want. Letter. What I want. It should actually be char code now. So let's change it. Why did you not change? Oh, yeah. So what I'm doing here is just going to add in a I just changed it, didn't I? So now we're going to store a record of the color that we want, the string, and the char code for each item.
Got it.
And then down here, we're going to access those. So now we can say $3. So just to save us going back and forth. Not that it makes that much difference, to be fair, but it's just good practice. All right, so now we've got an item. We want a way of we need to wrap our scrolling content or provide that with a scroll view. So the nice thing about having a controller is it's something that we can actually look up and access. So what we'll do is we'll create a thank you very much. It's exactly what I was going to do. So I like the way it's doing it for me. I'm fine with that. Oh, look, it's reading some of the other code that we did in some of the other files. And no, this is not what I want. So yeah, it's close, but no cigar. Let's get rid of that. That's fine. No, thank you. All right. And the idea being that is in our home widget here, we'll have it create our controller. Obviously, this would be whatever widget you're wrapping your content with, but this will do for now, right? So this might be different levels. So this might not be the same level that is the same part of your UI that hosts the controller may not be the same level that actually has this as its child. So we can either pass the controller in as a parameter so that items know about it, or this is the or piece, or we look it up. And I think like it's kind of nice and flexible to have it look it up, but we could provide maybe both. So have it say, if you didn't provide it, I'll look it up, which is kind of some of the de facto kind of standard behavior that we see. Let me get rid of so feel free to ask questions about what we're doing. Feel free to like like joining the chat with anything you're interested in. All right, so for this, let me help you start. There we go. Okay, so next thing we want to do, yeah. So we're gonna wrap our child widget. Oops, child widget. We're gonna wrap that with a annotated region. Now I do want to wrap it with the character code so we know what that is, but the problem here is we don't want to just wrap it with an int. An int is just useless for looking things up. We don't know if that int's ours or someone else's. We're specifically trying to look up, is this what alphabet char code are we trying to use? So we could do a type definition, but they act like aliases, so I'm not sure that would be more practical or less practical in this case. So I think we'll do that for now, but there's probably room to actually having a proper like class or type.
Can you give a brief explanation of what the annotated region is? I've not seen that before.
Sure. Let me just check my codes. Yeah, so although we're using this type, you can see we can put ints into it because of the type definition. And this, of course, means that we can't go look this up as easily. Let's for the moment we'll just use an integer and we can come back and like solve that problem and to make it more type friendly. I just don't want to detract from what we're doing right now. So you were asking, sorry, what is a annotated region?
Yeah.
It is literally that. So an annotated region is literally annotating a portion of your UI with extra metadata. That's literally what it's there for. So annotates a region of the layer tree with a value.
Okay.
You can then find those and retrieve those.
So how does that differ from like a key?
No. This is about the visual. This is about where it is on
the screen.
Oh,
disregard. I'm with you now. Got it.
So you're annotating a portion of the screen. So this is I wouldn't use either. Well, no, actually, you're right. No, an extension type would be what would be preferred free. Yes, depending on your version of Flutter, of course, and Dart that you're using. The extension type actually enforces the type, whereas the type def does not. Type def is just an alias for the existing type. Yes. Okay. So where was I? We were fiddling around this before. Right. So okay. So let's just use this. So let's say char code. Okay. So now we've annotated a region of the screen with what that is. There are ways of doing this without annotated region, and I've done that before. But it just involves doing a lot of what annotated region is doing for you. There's pros and cons to either.
Gotcha.
Right. All right. So where were we? So okay. So now we've got that. We want to also have a widget which is our no, not alphabet scroll behavior. Thank you very much. Our alphabet hover list. I don't know what you want to call it. Stack list, alphabet. Scroll bar, scroll bar. See what the AI is going to give me. I know, I'm going to roll with it. See where it takes us. It's going to be wrong, but you know, I'll see it. Oh. There we go. Come on. This wants to. Do you see what that looks like? It's not what I want, but let's see what it looks like. I want to see what it came up with. So in this case, I'm going to wrap out. Oh. And then on top of our list view, we're going to put our alphabet scroll bar, and it's going to be positioned on the right, right top and bottom. Yep. So it's going to exist on the right hand side of the content. Let's see what happens. I see nothing. Oh no, I do. I see. Do you see the line?
Yeah, yeah.
Very faint line there. That's not bad at all. It's made us a scroll bar. Let's reduce our item count to 3. And I wonder if that's going to make the bar. Yeah. So it's just indicating with a line, a very thin line. So let's draw a line. Does this actually work out the height?
Scrollable height. Yeah.
But if I can, I don't really care because not really gonna. It's not really affecting us. It is a very similar thing that we want to do. I'm interested. It's kind of interesting. Is put this scroll notification here, which is completely not needed. Right? It does nothing. So we're going to remove that. So here's actually highlighted an interesting point here, though. Right? So on the what I would actually do, this is actually interesting. This is actually incorrect as well. But on when it comes to the controller, the reason why you want to use the scroll control pass to your custom paint is that a custom painter has a parameter called repaint, which is a listenable. That listenable can be a scroll controller. In this case, it is not using that for some reason. I guess it doesn't understand that. That is what you want. And now this way, whenever the scroll controller updates, it repaints the scroll bar, which is the correct way of dealing with that. Yeah. So, and then you can be guaranteed that if the scroll changes, the scroll bar repaints. Anyway, right. So we don't actually need to have a. I mean, we can do some fancy effects, so we can do some other things, but I think for the moment, I think what I want to see in the scroll bar is more like a column. And that column is going to contain apparently a. Well, it's. I love the way. I love its enthusiasm. It's like having like a pup, I don't know, a puppy coda. It's like
so eager to please.
Pick me, pick me, pick me. There we go. So now we've got A to Z. Let's improve that look. So if you have something like this, you can actually wrap default text style dot merge around your set of child text widgets, and then you can provide parameters.
Oh, that's useful.
So I can now do, font weight, bold. We'll do 500. That's medium. We'll do something larger just for the. See, that's interesting, right? So, why have I not gone A? Is it gone off the top screen? Is that what the problem is now?
It's BTA is on the white band.
Oh no! It's it's behind the.
Yeah.
So this is actually another thing that I didn't deal with that I should deal with. So by default, the list view will use padding based off of the edge of the screen, the padding inside of the media assets. Oops. There we go.
There we go.
Obviously, there's this example. I want to do this. We should, in theory, we should be doing a proper edge to edge. So if we initialize the app, might as well show you how to do this briefly. How long you got?
Less than 60 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I have a meeting after this that I have to go to.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, give me 1 second.
And that's it. So
right. Lucky I asked, isn't it?
I definitely want to see the rest of this though. I picked up several things just from watching that, so that was awesome.
You can always come back. Actually, do you know what you should do? Free. Where are you? Where are you, Free?
Yeah, actually, bring Free on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bummed that I'm going to miss Free, but it was good hanging out with you, Simon. So I'm going to hop off to my boring meeting that I don't want to go to. I will see you guys later.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
So Free, if you want to join, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, we're going to try and get this finished as quickly as possible. Right. Where was I? Yeah, in its state. So what's going on here? Oh, because the stateless widget. I'm an idiot. Right. And what I want to do in here is system Chrome, edge to edge. And then why you no work? That may be me, but do you know what? I'm not going to fuss around with it right now. Just because I know it's not working. Yeah. Right. Okay. So now where are we at? What were we trying to do again? We were trying to highlight a particular letter based on where you are on the scroll. We can do that. All right. So just debate about if we want to do it without annotated region and come back and do it with annotated region or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so our stack that wraps it, that adds the alphabet scroll view, we're going to make that we're going to have an alphabet scroll host. That's going to have its child widget, and it's going to require a controller. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat, but if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or ask or whatever. There we go. All right, and then we want to wrap our child. So what I'm going to do is just move down that piece. Idea here being that we'll wrap our list view with our scroll host. I'm going to move up the controller on purpose. And then we're going to take that stack and chuck it inside of here. Okay. Yeah, that should get us where we need to be. Okay. And scroll host. Right. So now we can get rid of this and the stack. Hey, look, it's Free. Welcome to the show, Free.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. No,
Awesome.
not bad at all. It's been too long, buddy. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's I think the conference season is over now, so I think we saw each other a few times, I guess.
Yeah. Let's crack on. I don't want to Like be here all day. It's nice to see you. I just want to get this
Nice
done.
to see you, man.
Right, I was gonna. So generally speaking, see here we've got this host, which has a controller, and then we've got a list view and each list item. So the idea being that you wrap whatever you want to scroll with the host, you wrap each list item with the list item, and then you kind of get this behavior. You could always provide a implementation of this exactly like this and have like alphabet list view, which implements these widgets. But now this is composable, right? I think that's the key I was trying to get here. So one of the things I wanted to do here, I took the controller off the list view on purpose. So inside of our stack, we can also use this widget, default scroll controller. I'm pretty sure it's called default scroll controller. No, primary scroll controller. I'll get there in a minute. We can actually provide so this is the idea here being that if a scroll controller is not provided to a widget tree and it needs a scroll controller, it'll go looking for the primary scroll controller up the tree. So this is essentially allowing us to override any scrolling controller that any scrolling content underneath will request for. So there's that.
It's a bit similar to how tabs work with the default tab controller.
Exactly. Yeah. It is explained in here. So it's a scroll controller with a subtree. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Anyway. So okay. So where were we? Okay. So we have this. Let's make our just for visibility. I kind of feel like, well, first of all, these aren't. Let's give them some breathing space here. Let's add some padding or minimum width or something. Let's add some padding and say horizontal 6, and then this whole thing we'll make into an inkwell just so that we've got some feedback on the screen, and then the column itself can be wrapped in the material, and then we'll set that type, the type of material to transparency. This allows us to have a touch effects but have a transparent background. So now each of these has like a little, just so we can see which one we're tapping on for the moment.
All right, cool.
Something else for this text on here is you probably want it's not going to give me the height. This is more about like making sure that the text, even if it's got an overhang, is centered rather than using the baseline. But that's more complicated. That's also complicated. Anyway, right. Why is this? I think I'm going to get rid of that now.
So right now, the alphabet that we generated, it is used to create all the items, or is it also used directly to create the scroll view? So if there wouldn't be anything starting with S, for example, would it still be available in the scroll view?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, at the moment, we're not doing that. We could definitely obviously change that. That wouldn't be too difficult to do. I think there's key things that we want to do here, right?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so at the moment, obviously, so we generate this alphabet as like just a key concept for the example and generate the data from that. But yeah, you're right. In terms of at the moment, our scroll bar on the right uses that alphabet as a way of generating each of the items, and probably you only want, as we said earlier, you only had A, B, and C, then we want A, B, and C listed on the right here. I think there's also an aspect to this, which again is like which one of these is the highlighted one based on the section that you're on is really kind of the thing I want to kind of get to right now. But then there's also the notion that, you know, you tap on one and it scrolls you down to that item is another thing to do. There's certainly not going to complete this like today, I don't think, but it's definitely something that I think is interesting. If people are interested, we can definitely continue this next week.
Yeah.
All right, so let's aim for having this highlight the right one. So obviously we need to know which one is highlighted and then overwrite its color. So why? I swear I did color white. Oh, you know what's happened here? I just realized why I've lost my star. So when you add a material, it overrides the default text style. That's literally what it provides it. So we need to swap this with the parent. So basically, to wrap this with a material instead. That way, we're overriding the default text on the right place. Let's do that again. Now we should get our white text back. Think. Okay, cool. I'm not sure I like the white text anyway. Let's do black and make it bold. That'll do. That's a bit more visible on the at least on the screen share front right now. So we'll highlight the. I mean, obviously we could add parameters for what text style to use when it's not highlighted or highlighted. Mm-hmm. You know, you can this is a nice thing. Once you do these widgets, you can customize them however you want and make them more sort of customizable. Anyway, by adding that, it means that they all match the same width. Now you see they're filling their cells. Before they weren't all filling their cells. They're in.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah, highlighting it. So down here, let's provide a style, and we can say if it's highlighted, then use a particular style on, otherwise null, or something like that. Use white. And then, is this the highlighted one? Well, we need to determine that. So probably we can do it inline like this right now. It probably starts getting into the realm of, oh, let's make a widget for each of the letters. That's interesting. It's what the demo code has done. It's not what we want, but it's an interesting idea. If char code equals highlighted code. So we basically need to have a way of tracking this highlight code. Since we're doing this based on scroll, and I've overridden the scroll controller, that's where I was going to put my state. So in here, we can have the highlighted code right now. So we need to be able to fetch that. So in this case, we can do like that. In fact, we can just pop that straight in there and save ourselves the trouble. So at the moment, none of them are going to match. But when we start up our scroll controller, we hard code this for example and say, okay, when we start up, let's set our controller's highlight code to the letter C. Hopefully our letter C will be highlighted. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so now what we need to do is change this highlighted code based on which one is visible in the top left section at the moment. That's how we're going to do this. There's certainly other bugs in doing it that way. I think, let's describe them when we go and just get this bit working, and then I think we'll call it quits. I'll post this code, and if you want to experiment with it free, Yeah,
Mhm.
feel free. And then we could come back next week if you want to join us next week, and fiddle around with this a bit more. So right now we're using annotated region. Now we did actually look this up before, so I'm going to go steal some code that we did before because my life makes my life easier. Annotated region result. There you go. It was on that Humpday, apparently.
So,
which is commented out. So probably not. Gone.
So the annotated region, I've seen it mostly used to change the color of the status bar.
Yep.
But can you have like multiple things?
Have whatever you want. Yeah.
Because I'm curious, like right now you were saying like, oh, I don't really like the white color for the letters. Maybe the black is better. Could you actually change them depending on
what's
which
behind
color is behind it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Oh, cool.
That's exactly so. That's how the status bars work, right? So when
Yeah.
you have something dark goes behind the status bar, it changes to white,
Mhm.
right? That's literally the annotated region stuff that does that. Okay, so here's something we did. Here's something I made earlier, and I'm gonna steal some of this and reuse it. So I'm just gonna like wave my hands like magic and say, here's one I made earlier. It's not a big change away from this, so we should be fine. Right, where was I? News post this layer. Yeah, with the key on it, so we can use it. Yeah. Okay, so let's copy this to save my legs, as it were, and drop that in here somewhere. I don't want it. Scroll. I'll drop it at the bottom, and we're going to call this alphabet scroll layer. What we call it? Alpha beta. Sure. So this is about adding a custom layer into the render tree so that we can then use fine annotations to get what we want. Should do what I want, I believe. Yeah. All right. And now with that in place, we can use our host. There's our host. We'll wrap our stack with that. And we'll key it. Let's give it a key. Layer. So let's see what we do in the old one. Just to save my legs on this one again. So we get the viewport key, and we should be using the viewport key to get the render object. Then we can do fine annotations. So we're going to do the same. Essentially, a very similar thing, not the same, but similar. In this case, we want to say find active code. I know, find current code. That'll do. I know. Layer key. So this gives us the render object for the layer. We can say find our particular type of data off the annotations, and should provide from an offset, but I think we force the offset to be only the first one. So this is like a little trick just to find the first annotated region on that layer.
Okay.
And in this case, we were updating what that is. In this case, we should be able to say we don't actually need to say which control. We will stick the microtask though. Highlight code equals first region. Yeah, that should be good enough right now. We now need this find active code to run when the when the scroll controller changes. Thank you. And then when we dispose, let's see if the code generator does it. There you go. Remove it. That's all you need to do. So we'll call this find active code. I mean, you could do some things like do debouncing on this as well, so that you're only calling it once, maybe not calling it so many times. Again, like we're doing schedule microtasks, but we could say if the code is already the same, then don't bother scheduling it, right? So there's a few little optimizations we can do there. We can say code and say if widget.controller does not equal code, then we set it, and we'll also print that code, right? Why not? And then we possibly don't need a microtask. This all depends on how the layers have been updated. I'm not gonna run the problem right now of not doing it. Okay, so let's restart, and we're gonna scroll 97, which is great, but also doesn't help me in reading it. So bring dot child code. Thanks very much. Let's try that again. So A, B, C, D, and so on. Okay, that's great. Right. So now, question is why? Okay, so now that's done. We now need our highlight to update, which is totally not doing. So let's go find. So this needs to listen to the controller and rebuild when the controller changes. So we can actually just easily do that with wrap this in a listenable builder. And then that can choose to, actually, do we even need that? Yeah, we can just do that. Yeah, we just need to rebuild. Yeah, this all needs to come out as the result of the builder. Hang on. So basically, every time scroll changes right now, we'll rebuild the. Every time the scroll controller changes, we're going to rebuild the entire list on the right. This is just a hacky thing right now to just try out and see what we get. A, B, and there you go. So highlighting the right layer. Now again, scrolling doesn't necessarily mean the highlight changed. So we have probably a little disparagement here where we would probably want to now make our controller. Where's our controller gone? I completely lost it. Here it is. Highlight code. Let's take it from being an integer to being a value notifier. And now what's going to happen is we can now listen to that and rebuild on the controls. Now only when the highlight code changes does this rebuild. And if we choose to do that, then we can make this a value listable builder. And that means that the value listable that we get outputs the value. So now we're going to have highlighted code coming through as a parameter. Why is this having a problem? Because it's there you go, numberable. There you go. Cool. Okay. So now we're listening to that. That's kind of optimized that out a bit so that we don't rebuild all the UI necessarily. But we do now need to make sure that we're setting the right value, which there should be an error in here somewhere. Why is that? Yeah. Dot value. So what's interesting is this effectively debounces anyway, because when you try to set a value, if it's the same, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't notify. So in effect, this could actually also mean that we don't actually need to do this kind of side of things. But we'll leave it in there for a moment. Let's test this out. Okay, so it still works, which is good. We can also do something fancy in here and just have, like, say, font. Let's do font size 18. Yeah, it's just let's go a bit bigger. Winter.
All right.
This is, I mean, you know, it works. It's not great, but it works. We can do some interesting things like adding in. Have you ever used shadows before on text?
I don't think I have.
Well, there you go. So could do
I wonder, would it be possible
that's interesting. Yeah, go on.
Would it be possible to change the font size more animated? Or...
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, because I was thinking about, like, you know, if we actually made it bigger. I was just trying to see if there's a way of highlighting these out a bit better. You can do. There are actually ways to do outlines. Hang on, text. Why is it not? It's been a while. I think it's on the actual text widget itself. Hang on a second. Let me just check something. It's been a while since I've had to do this. There's actually a way of selection color. Interesting. So it's not on style. Pretty sure it's not on style. Hang on. Oh, paint. It is background. Okay. Isn't there another one? Yeah, foreground. Here we go. Okay, foreground paint. Trying to remember. It's been a while, but I think, remember right, you can actually change those. So let me just try something here, and then we'll animate the text size and actually have that nicely animate. We could do something where, based on the ratio of where that content on the screen, you kind of get the iOS-y kind of like bend in the text where they vary in size. I'm not going to do it today. I've got to put a limit on my time. So for the moment, like, we want to animate the font size here. So we can do an what's it? Animated builder. Oh no! What's the what's the implicitly tween builder, tween animation builder? That's the one. Wow, thank you for recommending color. That's not what I want, but thank you. What else is it? Could not infer parameter T. Well, what a shame. So we want to say font size, right? So let's do double. And we're going to begin. So the idea here is that we would effectively change based on highlight, we change the tween. I don't know what we actually chose then.
It's still at a color tween.
Yeah. Good call. And then And then where am I? Font size. We could just always have a right font size. Let's see what happens. It's not what I want, but it went big and then small.
Yeah, it jumps.
Which is interesting. I think it's basically because we're not always supplying the textile here. I basically only want to supply this to be color white. So let's do that instead. And
okay, now just
okay. Oh, I'm an idiot. My if statement's down. Try it again. Okay. So interesting. It's working. So the one above gets smaller and the one gets. It's not very noticeable right now. So let's do something stupid. Let's do 32 and 12. That's cool.
Yeah.
So there's people I probably haven't seen that there's actually a bug I've kind of left in this. It's interesting also it's jumping around. This is because we did that.
I think if we align it to the right, it should fix itself, right?
No, it's not the alignment to the right that's a problem. So what this is about is that for a time, the largest width of object in here is going to be this text until it gets down to this size, and the other one gets bigger. It's because we've got this intrinsic width and the stretch. So you can change this by having a size box. You can calculate this based on the fact that we've got our largest size plus padding or whatever. So you can be guaranteed that it never jumps around now. We can calculate this also based on other parameters, right? So you don't really want to have a fixed value when you have text on the inside. But we're here right now in this example, so right. Also, I don't know if you noticed that our G is slightly, the bottom of our G slightly clipped off there.
Yeah,
and that's because this isn't probably because of the inkwell. Isn't there clip behavior? I thought there was.
I think it's just called clip, but
for life of me, I thought. I mean, I know I can set custom order, but that wouldn't be. I think literally, it's. Let's get rid of the inkwell for a second to see if I am right thinking that, because it should be. Apparently not that. This might be. That's interesting. Okay. It's twin animated builder putting it in a stack, probably. No. Evaluation. Why is that clipping happening? Interesting.
So, do they all get the same height?
Yeah, I mean they all get the same height, sure, but the height that they're being laid out in does not affect how they're being painted, right? So although it's in this height, unless that's some internal clipping that's happening inside the text, that could be the case. The text doesn't. The text might be clipping to its bounds. Yeah. All right. Well, let's not. We can. There's another way of solving that, but let's not go there right now. All right. So there is the bug that I actually left in here. Is actually when you're at the bottom, the lot that you notice here is U. Yeah. And we can't get down to, even though we're showing Z, we don't actually highlight Z. This is because we're always using the top left widget to get our annotation from. So there's also practicalities around that and how we want to determine which widget that is the section that we're currently highlighting on, and it would have to be based off ratios rather than what we're doing here. But this is kind of an interesting example, I think, for now. I think we'll park it here for today, but there's several concepts that we've sort of gone through in here that show some interesting behaviors in Flutter and how you do those kind of things, right? We can certainly expand upon this in the future. All right. Is there anything you wanted to add to this or questions you want to add around this at the moment?
No, it's definitely something that I'd like to play with. So the original idea that I had was something I noticed in the Notion app, where you actually have different, like in a Markdown document, you have different types of headers. So you basically get like a certain structure, which would say like this is a big title, and then it would show. It wouldn't work with letters, but it would show.
You mean like over here? I get these green headers.
Yeah, exactly. And it will represent like where you have like an H1 and H2 and then H1 again, and it works pretty nice. I think it really helps you to find structure in your document. So
let's talk about this for a second. So in the IDE here, I've got this code glance plugin enabled, so I can get to see the layout of the code, which I find helpful. But interesting enough, this means that it also has to lay out all of the code, right? Because you're seeing
it's actually it doesn't do it like that. So you wouldn't see how much things are in between the headers. It would only put
you
them.
Just see. So it's the same as an outline view on a PDF. Like you're just seeing, so you're just seeing the headings and the structure of the document.
Exactly.
It's a structure viewer, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then based on where you are in the document, it's showing you where you are in that structure.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you can fast tap on one of those items and go to that point. We could definitely expand this from being more of an alphabet thing to being more structured. That wouldn't be too difficult at all. I like that. All right. Well, there's our target for next week. It was not very high in questions this week, so that's fine. But we're
I think everyone was a bit thrown off by the timing.
Yeah, I know. So time zones messed everything up. Yeah. So we went back. Did you go back in where you are at the moment?
Yeah. Here in Belgium, we went back 1 hour as well. And somehow I'm like, personally, I'm back 3 hours somehow. So.
Yeah, I know that fun. So I think with America, they're going back at like just like a week offset or 2 weeks, a week, 10 days offset or something like that. It just screws 2 weeks up in the calendar twice in the calendar. I still think that every time zone should just disappear, and we should. I know it doesn't. I don't know. For me, like everything's done so globally nowadays. I feel like I'd say I'm going to meet you at like 4 a.m. It may, there's an absolute reference point then that you just all use UTC or something. Does that kind of make sense? I feel like maybe that might make more sense.
We'll use Zulu time.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, right. Let me pop this in a code snippet for everyone.
I actually last week I finally got around to fixing the timer on my oven, and then like 3 days later I had to change it again. Yeah,
there's those things that you just forget with your mobile phone and stuff connected to the internet. It just updates. You're like, yay, it just works. And then there's those other things that finally you get around to the realizing, oh, it needs to be manually changed, right? I actually had the same thing on my microwave. My microwave time on my microwave has been off for like the whole year, and it's a hour difference, so you can figure it out, right?
Yeah, you're just looking at
it's like maybe 5 button presses to fix it. I don't know what happened. Anyway, now the time's gone back, so that's correct. Right. All right. What are we calling this? Alphabet scroll bar thing. Contacts thing. Widget. Hang on, whatever. 29th is today, right? 29th, yeah. Cool.
All right. By the way, I looked at the previous recording of the user suggestion thing, and it definitely helped me on the thing I'm working at. So it was specifically like the tab region, text field tab region was something that I was like, how am I going to do this? This is so annoying having to manage the focus and everything. But
and then you just realize I put the switch in and it just does it all for me. It's
exactly.
amazing. It's like someone had been reporting that they've been having this exact issue and they fixed it. Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting, right? Because there are those widgets you don't need to grab every day like you do with, like, you know, row, column, and text and things like that. But you just need to know those ones for the right occasion when you need them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just one other issue that I've been struggling with there, and so basically, if you add a user, I wanted to have a widget span instead. But the problem is, like, if you do that in text, it's no problem. You just change it to widget spans, and it's all fine. But if you use a controller's built text span for that, you suddenly get out of sync with everything. So what I actually did is I made my replacements from characters from the private use area of UTF.
FFFD,
Yeah, and then start from there. So they all the widgets I add are actually under the hood in my text as just one character, and they get replaced that way as well. And then
commenting, I did speak to the Flutter team about, it was a while ago when I was doing some PDF work, custom PDF rendering, about this kind of like, we really need kind of better tech integration with text and to sort these kind of problems out. Because when you want to do stuff with text, you need that, or the metadata around the text, you need to be able to manipulate really well. And annoyingly, yeah, the big thing, and this happened on most other platforms I worked on, is that the text input becomes this massive like thing, and it is really complicated, but it's just at the moment so much of that code has kind of been shoved into editable on and it's really hard to, you can't just say I want this bit and not this bit. It's really hard to work around that. Yeah,
and I feel it's something that users are so used to that, and if you get something wrong in there, it messes up the flow completely, and it's so hard to fix.
I found for things like code input, so you know, where you got like a two-factor code or something like that, you're trying to like input in, a lot of people like put just like either an editable text field, you know, or they have a custom rendered thing, or there's actually and then, you know, you're limited on how you enter them in. Maybe that you have your own custom on-screen keyboard like in your app that kind of the user has to pick from. You can actually override, there's a mixin text input client, an interface, sorry, that you can use. Have you heard of this?
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw it.
I have an example in one of my gists. Let me just find it.
I think I saw it maybe in one of the gists of the show here, but I stumbled upon it, but I haven't used it myself.
Yeah, number input. This will be it. I've been wow. We did this on Humpday in 2019. I'll share. So I'll bring this up on screen actually at the moment. So I may have updated this at some point, so it may just be dead code. So we could definitely look at it next week. I'm gonna look at it now, but I will just bring this up on screen just briefly, just so that people can see what we're talking about. Yeah, So entering pins and such things. Where is it? Here's like a custom widget number. This is coming up. Yeah. Number input, and then there you go. So you can say text input client with text input client mixin. In this case, I also added the autofill so that this would autofill from where is it? From one-time code. Which is really helpful.
Okay, cool.
And that's what the whole autofill configuration is for. So you have this autofill ID. So this way, yeah, again, if they get like the system says here's a one-time code to your app, it knows where to put it basically. Anyway, and the main thing here is that text editing value is something that you can manage yourself. So all these overrides are here to implement this text input client interface. But it is, I mean, it's not really complicated. And in this case, we create our initial value, which has text and a selection, and then where is it? This handles the autofill, unregistering, re-registering. And this is what happens when we get the autofill take place. So this fills out the value. And then inside our actual widget, we make a row with boxes, and each box shows a character from our input field, input text. And then we can request a keyboard. And then this bit down here is about managing the actual attaching this text input client to the actual text input IME controls. And that's what this open connection and closed connection is about. The rest of this is just kind of like nice, kind of, if you wanted it, you could do stuff with them. But in this, what we're doing here, you know, this is where you have that placeholder text that you were trying to do. You can actually work with it here. Insert placeholder text as well. Anyway, so yeah, this is the correct, should I say, the correct way of handling kind of that one-time code input. I'll put a link to this in the chat for anyone that's interested. It should still work. I mean, it may be that they've changed that interface. So if they've added a couple of functions to one of these interfaces, then you might need them and just leave them blank, and it should probably be fine.
Okay.
When one wants to try that. So both those code examples, the one that we made for this chat, and then the one I suppose their own links are in the chat. Cool. Hopefully people like today's show. It was a bit different from the usual. And we'll try on being on time next show. Right, and yeah, you're welcome to join us next week. So maybe we'll see you then, Free. Yeah.
Perfect. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.